Last year, I wanted to learn about longboard maintenance. I thought it was pretty daunting. Good news, it isn't. I learned by completely taking apart a longboard, rebuilding it, and putting it back together. This will be a two-part video series. Part 1 will be the components of a longboard that are pretty basic after all, as well as how to take the longboard apart and put it back together. Part 2 will be the components of my basic longboard maintenance kit, as well as a tutorial on how to clean bearings, which is the piece of maintenance I do the most. Let's jump into it. Longboards are made up of a set of some basic components.
The deck, the hardware, the trucks, the bearing spacers and speed rings, and the wheels. The deck obviously is what you stand on, the hardware are the bolts that hold everything together, the trucks are how the board turns and rolls, the bearings, spacers, and speed rings allow the board to roll freely and smoothly, and then of course the wheels, what actually makes contact with the ground. The trucks are comprised of the hanger, which houses the axle, the bushings, which are basically the springs that allow the board to return back to center after you do a turn, the base plate, which is what is mounted to the board, the kingpin, which houses the bushings and is what the hanger turns around, the pivot cup, which is what the end of the hanger pushes into.
Now let's take the longboard apart.
To remove the wheels, simply remove the lock nut and slide the wheels off. Try not to lose the speed rings. I lose these all the time. You can use the axle to remove the bearings. These wheels didn't have spacers. I'll install them when I put it back together. To remove the hanger, undo the lock nut on the kingpin. Remove the first washer, the roadside bushing, and then the hanger lifts off. Followed by the board side bushing and washer. From here, the kingpin can be removed, but I'm going to leave it in.
I am also told that sometimes the kingpin will face the other direction and will have to be fully removed in order to swap out the bushings. I am also told that this configuration can be a little bit more tricky to do this.
The mounting plate can now be easily removed by taking out the 4 bolts that hold it in place. Note that the pivot cup is in the base plate.
Now that we have it completely taken apart, let's put it all back together.
Start with attaching the base plate with the 4 bolts. Put on the board side washer and bushing. You will want the board side bushing to be the firmer of the 2 bushings. If you are using a barrel and a cone, the barrel bushing goes board side. Next, put on the hanger. The roadside bushing and washer, then bolt it in place. You can adjust how loose you want your trucks once the wheels are on. For the wheels, put in 1 bearing, then a spacer, and then another bearing. Make sure everything is firmly in place. I like to tighten down the bolt until the wheels can hardly spin, then back it off so the wheels can spin freely. I will also check that the wheels don't have play side to side. Once all 4 wheels are on, I will check the tightness of the trucks and make any adjustments as needed.
And that's it. Thank you for watching. I will see you in part 2. Bye.